All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Yoon Han. I'm associate professor in San Jose State University. Maybe I can a little bit short, so I'm going to step a little here. Thank you. So today's topic is hotter and drier, and then visualizing sonifying climate data. So I'm a data artist and I'm interaction designer, educator, researcher. Here's a glimpse of my work. So I use data as my art materials. Data tells stories. Data reveals hidden narratives and patterns about yourself, your family, ancestors, society, culture, nature, and environment. There are a lot of things you can actually learn. I'm originally actually from South Korea, and then born and raised in Korea, and then moved to the United States. I think it's about 13 years ago. And then I experienced many, things, around me, as also underrepresented groups. And the member in the group, I experienced a diversity issue, inequality, or identity crisis. So I thought maybe there might be some kind of clues or narratives I can actually learn from the data. So I tried to actually review some kind of history narratives within the data. So I've been creating interactive 2D, 3D data visualization, 3D print sculptures, data sonification, interactive video applications as well. So my research interest is to visualize and sonify data that can understand our memories, identity, body, and society and culture and environment, especially. But today, I'd like to more focus on the environment because, climate change is really happening. And then I think it's a very, very important topic. And then also, as artists and designers, what can I do, to address this, climate change issue? So that was actually my question. So I've been living in California for 13 years, and then I have been observing many environmental changes, especially in California. Drought, wildfire, air pollution, so many actually issues, as you can see in the news or experience it. So here's some photos. Green forest area is disappearing, and then more drought, and the dry area is increasing, right? So the size of the lake Oroville has been decreased, as you can see. And then the water shortage has been impacted the ecological system, animals, plants, and then human lives in nearby lake as well. So it's a very critical issue. This is a photo I took in the 2020 summer when I was in the 14 days of quarantine, during pandemic. Now, many countries actually released the quarantine policy, but at the time you should be actually kind of stuck in the room 14 days. But unfortunately, I use a lot of plastic containers. Unfortunately, there's a kind of limitation in certain parts. So I definitely, delivery service was the only thing I can get, food or something. But I was so surprised that when I released it from 14-day quarantine, I kind of sorted out and all the plastic containers, and this is all the things I use it only in 14 days. And every day we also, unfortunately, inevitably, we are using plastic containers, right? So I think definitely. I heard that during the pandemic, plastic pollution issue actually is really getting more severe. Yeah, so those are actually became my inspirations for my work. So today I'd like to introduce some of my works focusing on more like environmental issues, and then visualizing environmental data by using new media technology to create the experimental and meaningful data representations that possibly can deliver a message to the viewers, have chances to think about those issues. So the first project is called the California Drought Impact. So this is a very first project I started and to learn about the environment issues. The first one is a California drought issue. So as you know, California has been experiencing so many severe drought in the past, I think more than 10 years. And then drought actually has affected water changes, biological phenomena, and the ecosystem, which has become my inspiration and concern. And then it definitely makes some significant impact on the sustainability and the environment. So first thing, I got the data. Actually, this drought or environmental data is actually you can actually easily get it. It's a pretty much open source. So I got the data and then used a laser cutting and then made these sculptures. So. And specifically, actually, I chose a wood because the wood is directly impacted by the drought. Because if there's no water, definitely they cracked it or changed it, the patterns, and the colors are also changed. So you can see that it's based on kind of time-based visualization, and then there's a layering system. So if there's more layers, the top dark wood layer means super severe drought region. So as you can see, as time goes by, the size of the dark wood area is kind of increased. So it's more like you can directly and then intuitively recognize a drought by observing the sculpture. And then on top of the sculpture, I use a projection mapping to show the water the system. So how the water actually rivers or the reservoirs or lakes are actually happening, and how the water is actually connected, and how the water system actually really impacted to the drought. Also, drought impact to the water system. So this is the simulation as well. So not only just depicting the what happened in the past, but you can actually simulate it the future by using some interaction. So here's a video. So this is the one conference called the IEEEs, and then I present this work, and the people can actually use a mouse, or there's a contactless interaction device. You can actually hover over each dot. The dot, actually each dot represent the water, and then you can actually simulate it. What if you can actually pour more rain on certain region, and then kind of how you can resolve the drought in that certain region, and how the other regions can be also in a better situation, because the waters are kind of fluid, they actually are connected each other. So yeah, so through this work, I hope people can understand what's really going on and a little more details, and then also simulate what will happen in the future. After this project, I learned that actually there definitely drought impacts so many things, but one of them is actually endangered animals. The California poor California sea lions, so they are dying because there's no food, literally, so there's no really enough food, and then because of the global warming, the sea level is rising, and then temperature is also rising, so the small fishes, their main food is kind of gone. So I got the data, and then I was actually teaching in the university called the Cal State Fullerton at the time. So I worked with my students, engineer students, and also design students, to build interactive interface that people can actually learn about what are the causes and then effects of this climate change, and the effects to the California sea lions. So the idea is that there's some kind of ring system, and then each ring, actually blue rings actually represent the causes, and then the red rings actually represent the effects to sea lions. So each layer represent different information. So when you actually tweak it, one ring, actually you can see how the other rings actually are changing, like a thickness, and then the size of the ring as well. So so this interactive experience is it's actually a prototype, and but the thing is that it's very meaningful, because I always try to actually introduce this kind of idea, like environmental issues, to my classroom, because I think definitely students have to learn and then make something, and then kind of feel that this is really happening. So, and then it was also meaningful because the engineer students, design students, actually they collaborate together, and then make some interdisciplinary project. And then we had a chance to show this work in the art event in Long Beach, in California. It was called Pump. And then there are so many interesting projects, especially about the climate change issues. So yeah, we showed this project, and then many people actually come and then experience this project. So it's pretty meaningful. Several related projects. So as I said, I'm originally from South Korea, and actually Korea also is experiences super severe drought. So I was wondering what's kind of how they actually are different, in the two different regions. And then I also use the sound as a material to represent the data. So not only just visualizing, but I think the sound actually gives a really strong trigger, and that you can actually instantly listen and then kind of memorize it. So it gives a huge impact. So this work sonifying, basically I sonified the data here, so you can get the idea a little bit through this video. So right now, this is a sound from the California, the drought sound. And this is a South Korea's drought. Yeah. So you might wonder how it's working. So, well, I use many actually data to generate the sound. So, so definitely the drought, the severe levels, and then also these images are actually from Google Earth, the images, and then the images from actually the regions that have actually the severe drought. So basically, so I use the image data and then the drought data, and then convert to the frequency, amplitude, and some the parameters in the audio synthesis. So yeah, so there's a kind of mapping behind of it. So this work, I had a chance to show this work in the one museum in Korea, OCI Museum, and then so it's a 2-channel TV kind of video installation, so people can actually listen to each individual video and listen to the audio, and then compare those two regions. I also, the audio video kind of passed pretty quickly, but I like to also, visualize in three-dimensional, like a sculpture form, because, the data is complicated but if you actually put together all multivariate, like a multi-layered data into one place, and then a sculpture form, people can actually kind of ponder and then try to interpret the data in their own time. So I think the sculpture form is pretty effective on that part. So this is the 3D printed sculptures that actually visualize the many actually issues related to drought, like precipitation, rain, time based drought data. So it was exhibited next to the video installation, like this. Yeah, another project I like to introduce is I'm actually teaching graphic design program in San Jose State in the design department. And then I love actually making graphics, visuals, not only just interactive, the digital media work, but yeah, definitely the static visuals gives a nice powerful work. So this is a project about the plastic pollution issue. I experienced it during the pandemic. This is the one I showed you. The plastic containers I used. So I basically after I consumed these plastic products, I labeled it and then kind of categorize it based on the size and materials, and then the days. And then I was also learned that this each plastic product actually it takes a lot of actually longer time to fully decompose, like this one. So some plastic product, it takes more than the 600 years to fully decompose. It basically, the minimum is like a balloon, like 2 years. So it's really kind of crazy amount of time to fully decompose. So I like to give that kind of message to the viewers that this is really the plastic issues are huge. So the how I actually basically use the photogrammetry technology, and then kind of scan it each plastic container, and then transform into the 3D form like this. And then I like to give you some kind of idea. This is kind of looks like a kind of frozen product, look like a kind of never disappearing, or it might be really like a kind of deconstructed at some point, but still looks like it's a actual product, but it's seems like it's a kind of exists forever. So that was a kind of visual style I like to actually achieve. So yeah, I extract the images and then place into this poster design. So this is a poster design that actually shows the kind of grid system that actually shows the different timeline about the decomposition, so people can get some idea how long does it take to decompose each product. So yeah, and the last project I like to introduce is the most recent project I work on. It's called the feature is red. I think red is definitely the core color. We are definitely global warming is really getting hotter and hotter every year. This is a photo from San Francisco. I experienced it at the time. Anybody been there? San Francisco at the time. Oh yeah. So there's a kind of apocalyptic, sky happen because of wildfire, and then kind of cover whole sky, and then suddenly it was actually like a 10 a.m. but like orange sky actually happened. It was surreal actually, but it looked like a surreal, but it was really happening. So I was so kind of mesmerized and then was scared, by this thing. So definitely the wildfire is the next kind of my topic. And at the time, I got also commissioned by the one museum called Arco Museum in South Korea. They asked me to build the interactive data visualization. So yeah, so this is the exhibition view, and then here's a video. Oops. So basically, this is an animation of a wildfire visualization over time, so you can see how the wildfires are happening. And you can actually hover over each dot, that actually each dot represent each wildfire, and you can learn actually details. And then next to the data visualization, there's some 3D printed sculptures where you can actually learn the air pollution, which is actually the black colored 3D printed sculptures at the bottom, and then the red colored 3D printed sculpture at the top. So you can kind of see the correlation between two different data. It's kind of there's no clear like a causes and effects. Both actually are kind of connected together. Yeah. So and then and then the Wi-Fi actually is in the this is actually in the two different regions, South Korea and then California. So you can also see that kind of compare the two different regions, and then it's really getting severe, based on the data. And then I also use the machine learning technology and then algorithm to understand what will actually happen in the next few years, next 5 years, and then the same pattern is actually happening based on the the machine learning. So I think unfortunately, we'll probably see more wildfires in the next few years. Yeah, some exhibition views, and then one thing I also use the contactless interaction, because actually the exhibition happened last year, still kind of in the pandemic, so people are kind of cautious about touching things. So yeah, I use the lean motion camera, which is a contactless one that you can actually hover over each dot by placing the hand above the camera. Some of the images here. I think I think there's a video. Yeah, I think the what I try to do is I'm not trying to actually give a solution. Basically, I'm not the expert in this the whole climate issue, but what I can probably do is data is mostly like numbers and text. But what if I can kind of give us a little more visually kind of interesting, visual, some outcome, and then maybe people can learn a little more details about the what's going on and this narratives. That maybe that might trigger some kind of small actions, from the public. So that's my hope, and then that's what I'm pretty much actually doing. And then if you have some opportunity to actually get some your own like data, and then maybe I highly recommend actually visualize or turn into the sound. So it'll be really meaningful, and then share it with your friends or colleagues, and then you probably can make some little small impact to the world. I hope so. Thank you so much. Yeah.